This session is going to be about completing an estimated cost of sale for your seller. This should be completed both when you list a property and again when you have an offer on it. It's one way to check if they're upside down or have them make sure they have realistic expectations of what all their selling expenses will be. So the first place we're going to go to is forms, and I have started a new listing in transaction management using our residential template. So you can pull everything right in. So if I go over here to forms and scroll down, you're going to find an RTU estimated cost of sale. Before I go there though, I'm going to go over here to documents, because one of the sheets that you'll need for reference is a title insurance rates. So I'm going to click on that because I need to use some of that information for a reference point. So if I were doing this as an agent, I would download this form. So I'm going to click on here, download. We'll save it just in my downloads, and we're going to go back and forth between that document and the net sheet. Or you could also just have that printed, but I would check it on a regular basis because some of those rates may change over a period of time. So I've now brought up that title rate sheet, and you can see there's a minimum charge if the property is up to $50,000 of $260. That does not include the search fee. So there's going to be a search fee in addition to that amount, and we'll look at those in a moment. So you can just scroll to about the approximate price range you think the property is going to sell in. We're going to use $150,000 for our example. So right here it's $430, but if I scroll down further, there's the exam fee. So if you're in Peoria, Tazewell, or Woodford County, you're going to add an additional $100. If you're in one of these other counties, $150. And if you're in a county that's not listed here, then you better check with Peoria Title for a quote. So once I've done that, we're going to go back to the net sheet. So now I've gone back and clicked on forms. I'm going to scroll down again to the estimated cost of sale and bring up that form. If you had entered the property address in your details, it would auto-populate in here. We're just going to use this as an example, 150 Green Street. I could type, and we're going to use $150,000 as our sales price. As remembered, it will. We said the title insurance would be about $530. One of the things that will calculate automatically for you is the Illinois taxes for the sale, but it will not calculate the city of Peoria because we don't know automatically if it is in the city. In this example, we're going to say it is. So you're going to multiply $2.50 times the $1,000 that are in the sales price. So it's $150. So that total comes out to $375. Then you have some other fees that we're going to have to look up. The closing protection letter and state fees, what the closing fee on a seller side is, and most often we're going to use it as if the buyer is getting a mortgage. It will change slightly if it is a cash sale. So now I'm going to look back at this sheet, and one of the things I need to look at is here's a closing fee if the buyer has a lender that we'll need for a net sheet of $50. And then you have a closing protection letter of $50 and the state fees of $3 that we're going to add to that one line. And while we're here, we might as well just look to see the deed and P-tax prep is $100. So now I'm back to my net sheet, and I can enter the 53 in here for the closing protection letter and the state fees, $50 for my closing fee. And I'm going to scroll down here right now to the attorney and P-tax form of $100. You can see I've entered this before at some point in time. For your mortgage release, that's going to vary per county, and we do not have this on the sheet because it's going to change. You're safe in just using, oops, wrong line. It's always good to make mistakes, that you can see what I'm doing. We're going to use $70 for here. That should cover all current counties, but you might want to check and use an average fee for that. Then depending on how many mortgages this person has, will how much be your overnight fee. That was also listed on the other form. We'll just go take a peek at it for just a minute. So if you look here, if they're going to overnight a payout to a seller, it'd be $35, and the wire fee to pay off their mortgage will be $35. per payoff that they need. In this example, we're going to say there's only one mortgage, so we're going to use 35. But if they have a first mortgage, if they have it and then a second mortgage, or if they have a first mortgage and a home equity line of credit, whatever needs to be recorded to be released, there would be a charge for that. Our services based on 7% are $10,500. You can then decide if you're going to include a possible home warranty that you're offering. What I often do in seller paid closing costs is if I look at many of the comps in that price range in that area and they're paying closing costs, I'd rather talk about it now with my seller at the time of listing, that this is something we see common in the area, that it's hard for buyers to save everything they need to start getting into a home. And just to expect that, because many, and I'm sure you'll agree, you'll see many offers coming in with closing costs. And then decide you need anything for possible repairs. So, I sometimes use 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000. If you have a radon, it's going to be around 1,000 to 1,500 just for that as well. So just prepare, and there could be some things they have to fix in order to get this transaction closed. So right now you can see this sheet keeps adding up all our selling expenses, and here's what they would be netting. However, we have to now take into consideration mortgages that might be on this property. So I'll just use the number of 108,000. So now our net proceeds are 25,562. Then we get into our taxes. So our current year, and right now you're going to know you're going to have all of 2020 taxes, but they're going to be really considered the prior year because by the time we close, you're going to be in 2021. So the thing I also have to take into consideration is, when do I think we'd be able to close on this property? I'm going to use a couple months into 2021. So in this example, I'm thinking it's going to close by the end of March. So I'm going to use $687 here. So I do a simple calculation, take the taxes, divide it by 12, multiply it times the months, I think. Don't get into a per day thing, just get an estimate. But it's a good time to talk to the seller to realize they not only have all of the current year's taxes of 2020, they're going to have the year that we're going to close in taxes as well. And this is where you often get into a discussion with the seller and say, but I've got money in escrow for that. And in today's world, you need to explain to them that quite often those funds are going to be sent to them after closing. We can't use this at closing for them to have some proceeds to walk away when they're buy their next house with, or those kind of things. But any money that's in that account will be theirs. You'll be amazed at the people that don't understand how the taxes work. So let's say we're listing this property and now we find out there's a $130,000 mortgage. They're only going to net 125, or if we make it even worse and it's 140,000, then they have to bring this money to closing or find a way of a short sale or something like that. So again, it's very simple. You're going to file, I'm going to save and exit here. You're going to find this net sheet in our forms if you start a packet with us, and I'll just go back to the beginning. If I'm on transaction desk and I create a transaction and I make sure I use the template of listing packet residential, then all of those forms and documents that I just talked about will be right in your packet. Hope this helps. Let me know if you need any specific help with this.